Welcome back to Discovery Island, where we talk about Bible stories you probably didn't know about. On today's episode, we're going to learn about a man who escaped death as a baby so that he could grow up and deliver God's people. This is Moses. Back in Bible times, the king of Egypt made a decree that any Hebrew boy that was born must be killed. The Hebrews were slaves to the Egyptians, and the king was afraid that if he didn't stop them, the Hebrew nation would keep growing and eventually outnumber the Egyptians, and then they wouldn't be able to control them. But the Hebrew women had midwives, and they helped them deliver the babies that God had given them because they feared God. They saved all the baby boys. One woman saw her son and loved him so much that she determined in herself to hide him as long as she could. After 3 months, she couldn't hide him anymore, so she put him in a basket and sent that basket down the river. She told his big sister to follow it to make sure that it wouldn't tip over. As the basket went down the river, an Egyptian woman saw the basket and opened it. When she opened it, she saw that there was a baby inside. When she saw the baby, she loved him, and she kept him, and she raised him as her own son and named him Moses. Moses grew up as an Egyptian in the house of Pharaoh, who was the king. Even though Moses was raised and lived like an Egyptian, he knew that he was really a Hebrew. There was still a lot of hate from the Egyptians for the Hebrews, and they were really mean to them. One day, Moses was out and saw an Egyptian beating up a Hebrew. Moses was so sick of all the ways that the Egyptians abused the Hebrews, and he was filled with anger. So Moses jumped in and beat up the Egyptian and killed him. Afraid that someone might say something, he buried his body in the sand. But someone did see, and the news of what Moses did spread fast. When the king, who was Pharaoh, found out what Moses had done to the Egyptian, he was furious and decreed for him to be killed. Moses heard that Pharaoh was out for him, and so he ran for his life. Moses was confused on what to do because the Egyptians no longer trusted him, and the Hebrews still looked at him as an Egyptian and didn't trust him either. He felt alone and like an outsider. As Moses walked, he saw a bush in the distance, and it looked like it was on fire, but the branches and the leaves weren't getting burned. As he got closer, he heard a voice say, "Don't get any closer. Take your shoes off, because this is holy ground." Moses bowed down, and he was nervous about hearing the voice of God. God told him that just like he delivered him as a baby, he needed him to deliver his people from slavery. Moses was really scared to have to stand up to the very people that brought him up and raised him. But God told him that he would be with him and use him to do great things. Moses could no longer sit back and watch his people suffer. So Moses obeyed God and led God's people out of slavery and into the promised land.